No chance.
What's up, everybody? This is No Chance Podcast. As always, your host, Ryan.
And Nate.
Critically acclaimed podcast because we are now on Apple Podcasts.
Yep, on the podcast app.
Yeah,
so subscribe,
comment,
download our podcasts.
Yeah, those are like the three like major things.
Watch us on YouTube.
Watch us on
YouTube.
channel. We have a bunch of outlets right now. We're fucking
follow
killing.
us on Twitter.
Oh yeah, we have a Twitter. So on our Twitter, we're going to be posting a lot of the relevant articles that we use in order to sort of source this podcast. Because we're not fucking geniuses and we don't just come up with random things on a daily basis. Everybody needs inspiration.
Yeah. So
right?
basically on there we'll have different sort of articles that we end up talking about on here.
Yeah.
Or maybe even just links to stuff that we like or stuff that we find interesting. So definitely go check that out.
And we're always down for like a good debate about streetwear.
If you want to like reply to our tweets or anything like that, or
if you want to tell us that you hate us or that we dress bad or whatever, it's all good. It's all engagement, and we need that to be at the top charts of like all these different outlets. So definitely go do that. That's the first thing. Today we're gonna be talking about a little bit about money. Moolah.
Something we both don't have.
Don't have right now. We're kind of fucking struggling. But at least we have a spot that we can sort of like put this podcast together. That's the only thing that really matters, man. I can eat ramen and fucking spam all day anyways.
That's true. I can live off cans of Vienna sausage for the rest of my life. It's fine.
So let's talk about money and streetwear. That's the sort of overarching topics. And you used that term last time, and I thought it was really good, was the word overarching. I like it. It's like a very umbrella thing. It's like this is our summary. This is what we're going to talk about type of thing. So overarching topics for today is going to be money and streetwear. It's really just what is the worth of some of these brands? Like, why are they worth so much?
Yeah, we're going to be talking about both kind of monetary value of brands, their products, and also what their kind of perceived value is, if you want to call
value
it that.
Almost.
Yeah, exactly.
It's a little bit of everything.
Yeah.
So if you don't already know, and it's been a talk around town, is that Supreme sold 50% of its stakes.
Really? Was it
50% of its shares?
I thought it was a minority stake in the company.
It said 50%. Like, we don't have exact numbers. Yeah. And, we're fucking idiots, so it doesn't really matter. Like, who does?
But anyways, they sold.
Yeah, so they sold a majority of the stake of their company. And they are valued, or quote unquote estimated value of about $1 billion.
Yeah, which I think is crazy.
For a streetwear company that started out as simply making a T-shirt with a box logo on it, they are valued at over $1 billion. And the question that I had, and it's starting to make sense to me the more that I kind of like read more into these streetwear brands and sort of like the impact they have culturally is it really worth that much? I don't think so. I don't think so. Beats by Dre was sold for about $1 billion.
Yeah.
And that is like, it's like a technology headphone company. Like every single item they sell is no more than, or no less actually than about like 300. That's like their average.
Like
200 is like their average value. Supreme makes keychains and t-shirts that cost $30. And like, what gives them the right, or what gives the Carlyle Group, which is the investment firm, right? What other companies have they invested in?
Well, one, I think they had a minority stake in Beats, like we talked about, and they helped Beats eventually get bought out by Apple.
Shit.
So they had something to do with that. I know they have some stakes in like Dunkin' Donuts. And like
they're huge though.
So,
those are all like
corporations.
household brand chains anyway.
Yeah.
So like they have reach is the big thing. But what makes Supreme of all streetwear companies or just clothing companies alone?
Yeah.
What makes them worth $1 billion at the end of the day?
I think it has less to do with the products that they're selling, and it has more to do with their sort of market share in terms of streetwear and how they can easily create perceived value behind the products that they sell,
Yeah. I think in terms of, and it's going to be broken down into three different things. Let's say, and we touch upon these three different sort of subjects or or categories every time we talk about anything involved with streetwear. It's social or cultural influence.
Yeah.
It's, influence on streetwear itself in terms of, the clothing they put out, the sort of advancements in streetwear.
Yeah.
On a like an apparel sense. And then what was the third one that we usually talk about in terms of just like these three main, subsets of categorization in terms of streetwear?
Like, so we covered cultural.
We covered like the like apparel side, so the type of clothing that they make, the products.
Yeah.
And then there was one more. I completely forgot. We touched upon it last episode too. It was like heavy. Either way, let's go into the first one. Yeah. So let's talk. And this is usually my favorite because we have a huge stake in streetwear, right? Not just in terms of we own it, but we're a part of it.
Yeah.
So we have a say. I'd say that's probably the reason why we started this podcast, because we have a say in streetwear because we buy the shit. So in terms of Supreme and their sort of cultural and societal influence, they're by far the one of the most influential companies, even more so than some of the Fortune 500 companies. You think they're a Fortune 500 company now?
No, I don't think so.
No, right?
Definitely not.
Yeah, so they have a huge cultural and societal impact, more so than some of the biggest companies out there.
Yeah.
Like, I think in that sense they deserve it, but I mean, I don't know. What do you think?
I agree. Whether you like the brand or not, it's hard to avoid the fact that they do have such a cultural impact.
Yeah.
To the point that people who don't even know what Supreme is will want Supreme.
Yeah.
So I think they have such a big reach, and I think their impact is huge. And it kind of, before it used to be sort of limited to skateboarding, streetwear kind of enthusiasts, but now it's so box logo is almost like seeing...
It's an iconic thing.
It's almost like seeing like an Apple logo.
Yeah.
Like you go across the world and everybody knows what an Apple logo is. In the same sense, the Supreme branding or anything Supreme related is almost...
it's almost there.
Yeah.
Like it's almost as iconic as the swoosh. As crazy as it sounds, you can ask your mom, you can ask your grandparents, you can ask anybody that's traveled the world, and if you show them that Supreme box logo, they'd look at it and be like, "Yeah, I've seen that around before."
Yeah.
Or I've seen that somewhere.
Yeah.
Maybe it was on the news, or maybe it was on YouTube or something. You know what I mean? But I feel like everybody has come across that to the point where they can at least say like, "Oh, I've seen that before." Yeah. They may not know that it's like a streetwear brand or any sort of history behind it, but it's recognizable in the sense that it's an iconic logo.
Yeah,
to that extent.
Even my dad, who's like in his 50s, asks me about like Supreme and like Supreme collabs. I think like when the Supreme Lacoste collab came out, he asked me, he's like, "Hey, did you see all the photos of the new Lacoste collab?" And I was like, "Wait, what?"
My dad still shops at Costco. He was like asking me, "You see those Kirkland pants, those Kirkland chinos?" Like, no, I did not. But yeah, I mean, just like in that sense, like your dad talking to you about it, you come across it at some point, even if maybe he's just looking up Lacoste polos on Google, and he just goes to news and he sees like, who the hell is this collaboration? Oh, that's a nice jacket. Yeah. Doesn't even care who they are. It's just they produce a nice product.
Yeah, exactly.
In another sense as well, they have a huge like impact on just like all of pop culture.
No,
like,
for sure.
Look at all the fucking like A-list celebrities, fucking D-list. It doesn't even matter. The whole entire range of people that are in front of cameras nowadays are wearing Supreme. Yeah. I almost thought about wearing it today because I was like, you know what? If we're gonna talk about it, I'm gonna flex a little bit. I'm gonna flex with the camera,
Yeah, I mean it's crazy to think that, something so obscure as a brand like Supreme, let's say like maybe 10, 15 years ago, becoming sort of mainstream to the point where everyone and anyone is wearing it. I think that's like, it's crazy to me.
It is. It's pretty insane. Like there's not a lot of brands out there. That have that sort of impact or even reach.
It's not even to say that Supreme was the first one to do it. I think it's more so that they kind of capitalized on it.
And I think it was in a more authentic way. Like a lot of these brands, like think about the heydays of like the Louis Vuitton and the Gucci, right? When they sort of like popped off and everybody was wearing it and it was like the thing. I think it was just because it was like, it was not in a sense exclusive, but it was just like, oh, this is just so cool. Everybody else is doing it. I have to do it. Or even like, here's a good example. Fucking Ed Hardy or Von Dutch, right?
Awful.
Just simple brands. They don't have like deep roots in the sort of like, in sort of apparel or clothing, like brands in general. Like they haven't been around for, you know, since the beginning of time, like Levi's has, you know what I mean? They're not deeply rooted into the game as some other companies are. But when they come out and, you know, celebrities wear it, it's cool. All right, now I'm gonna get it. Now it's cool. It's not. It's a little bit contrived. It's not as like organic. Now Supreme's been around for a while, right? Since like early '90s. It starts with the culture that everybody else sort of adapts itself to, like skateboard and hip hop. Yeah. Next thing you know, it's like it doesn't catch on like that. Yeah. It's not like wildfire. It doesn't just catch on. Von Dutch and Ed Hardy, they caught on like that. Like it seemed like it was like an overnight success. But Supreme sort of built their sort of rapport over the years. Yeah. They see, you know, D-list celebrity wearing it. Oh, that's kind of cool, whatever that is. Yeah. And then next thing you know, that D-list celebrity who's into like this subculture or whatever, they're like, oh shit, like I'm gonna start doing that. Next thing you know, boom.
I think it has a lot to do with the rise of sort of other subcultures. Let's say like hip hop, like the growth of hip hop kind of breaking out into the mainstream. Yeah. I think that has a lot to do with the growth of streetwear as well, breaking out into the mainstream. So let's say like I just read an article or a statement that said that hip hop is now the most consumed genre of music, I think, either in the United States or in the world. So in that sense, like, of course, like apparel associated with hip hop or anything associated with that, skateboarding, things like that, all the stuff that's intertwined is gonna obviously be propelled forward.
Yeah, you know and that just that all plays into this sort of like melting pot of things. Like it's like a perfect situation, you know, like the perfect storm of things that sort of ignite something to become as popular as it does. Like you could even say like it's like an iconic moment in time was when Nelly came out with the Air Force One song. Next thing you know, Air Force One, it could have died off. Yeah. Like it could have died off before that, and now it stands a test of time forever as being like an iconic shoe.
Well, I think it just more so than specific moments like that. I think it has a lot more to do with just a shift in interests in terms of like what people are into these days. You know, like I was saying, hip hop is the most consumed genre of music in the U.S. or in the world, I believe. So before, like, I don't know, it's weird. And skateboarding's kind of propelled more into like
pop
the limelight,
culture, mainstream,
everybody trying to dress like a skate.
Every commercial, like I watched a Geico commercial and they're like skateboarding. It's just like, this is weird because before, like, it wasn't as widely accepted. It was that sort of anti-establishment, and that's where they're deeply rooted.
I think that's what a lot of people are latching onto these days, is that people are trying to break free from the quote-unquote traditions of, let's say, like our parents' generation. Yeah. So I think a lot of people are looking to latch onto something that maybe does have this anti-authority sort of background to it. Yeah. So like hip-hop, skateboarding, streetwear, things like that, sneakers. So I think
it's what's currently in, and I think it's always going to be currently in.
Yeah, no, for sure.
For you know, for forever now. Yeah. And it's always a funny like sort of irony is when you wear like a Supreme shirt that says like fuck the police or something, right? And your parents, who are probably from like the 70s and 80s, maybe if they're a bit older, around the 60s, they're just like, why would you wear that? Like whatever, like you gotta respect the government and all that stuff. And then at the same time, it's like, well, you guys were in like the free peace movement, and you guys were like the ones like that started this sort of anti-establishment like counterculture, and it's just like, you don't understand like where this is coming from at all. Like you guys basically created it. Like James Jebbia was probably like the same age as you when you guys were younger. That's probably where this all came from. You know what I mean? So I guess we can both kind of agree that Supreme definitely has that sort of societal, cultural impact, And it can't really be argued because you see it all over the place. You see your favorite celebrities wearing it, and you really can't get away from it. Your parents know about it.
Yeah.
So it's like there's really no argument there. To what extent, though? I mean, we can say that it almost has a bigger cultural influence than, companies like, I don't know, like I think people, no, I wouldn't say McDonald's, but there's some companies that are like pretty high up there that have less of a cultural impact than Supreme does, which is, it's kind of crazy to think coming from a streetwear company, you know what I mean?
Yeah. I don't know. I think it's, I don't know. It's just.
It is kind of weird because you don't think of something as simple as like clothing or garments to be like you think of it like this. You could have a fucking box logo and it could run for president and potentially win or even run for mayor of New York City and potentially win. Yeah. Think how crazy that is, right? Like it's a potential, like it could be a possibility. In Japan, it could be the Emperor of Japan as a box logo T-shirt. Oh my God. Let's talk product then, because Supreme ain't doing anything new. Yeah. But in the sense of, if we look at its growth from the early 90s, or even if you fucking brought Supreme back to, I don't know, the 60s. From the 60s until now, that clothing you can wear forever. Yeah. Like there's select pieces in their collections every season that you could probably wear anytime. Any time period. Like that's a sort of timelessness of that brand. But in terms of product, they aren't really innovating too much.
Yeah. I mean, it's honestly the same thing season after season. Like at this point we know what to expect during fall, during summer, things like that. I think that's has something to do with why they're so successful, is because
it definitely is.
They know who their target audience is. They know that this stuff works, so why change it?
I think it kind of comes from, like, I think they're very deeply rooted in anti-establishment. So it like you, right? Like you're very kind of older for your age in the sense of how you dress and the sort of like way you keep yourself. Yeah. But think of like a lot of the kids that follow Supreme. Like you can almost divide them into 3 categories, right? You'll have like the punk kids. You'll have like the hip hop heads, and then you just have like this like weird group of just like, they don't really care about streetwear, but they care about what
having the cool stuff,
you know? Yeah. So then like you'll get kids who are into like fucking Bob Dylan and the Smiths and like all these like, you know, older brands that are very niche, and then you get that they're the ones that wear like the chinos and the acid wash jeans and the button ups, and you get the hip hop kids who are like wearing, you know, fucking
Air Force Ones
or like stuff like that. So it's like, it really fits anybody's attire. And even if it was like early 2000s where people were wearing all over print, there's a shirt for you. Yeah. You want baggy shit, there's that. You want fitted hats, there's that. Beanies, there's that.
Yeah, so that's true actually. I never thought of it that way.
It really fits into like every sort of year style. Yeah. And if you maintain that sort of like that sort of line of how you produce your shit, then who's not to say you can't live in the year 3000, you know what I mean?
Yeah. And I think that's another reason why they're so successful, is that they pull a lot of inspiration from different sort of subcultures, if you will. I know I keep using that term, but no,
but that's that's where they come from.
Yeah, exactly. So I think it has appeal for pretty much everyone, you know? Like there's something out there for everyone, like you said. Yeah. So I think, like you were saying, that's another reason why they're
that's a piece of the reason why they succeed so well. Yeah. Because if you could probably choose an item in their lineup and, you know, give it to your dad. Yeah. You know, I can get something. Well, they don't really make women's apparel, but I'm sure my mom would like something. Yeah. You know what I mean? And it really depends on like what that is. But you look at like both males and females, the way they dress in Supreme. They both take their own sort of influence from it, and that's the sort of essence of streetwear. So. Yeah. But
well, let's talk about this then. Do you think that since they have been valued at $1 billion, do you think that the prices of the products are gonna change, or do you think the price points are gonna stay the same?
I think they have to lower their price points.
You think so?
I think
Like,
so.
are you talking like aftermarket, so secondary market like resale, or are you talking about like actual retail prices?
I think what's going to happen is that their products are going to decrease slightly in price,
Yeah.
but the aftermarket is going to increase in price. And it sounds kind of fucked up, but if you're a company that is now, worth all this money, right? They probably have factories of their shit going.
Yeah.
Think of it in the sense of, I'm McDonald's. I have multiple retailer storefronts, and they're probably worth tons of billions of dollars, right? Like, if I'm going to spread so thin and I need a lot more product, I'm going to have to outsource possibly cheaper materials to a certain extent.
Well, look at it this way, like, basically, I guess, I don't know I'm just kind of speculating here, but I'm assuming that the Carlyle Group is going to be investing money into Supreme. So therefore, Supreme is going to be able to use those funds to sort of further their business, whether that means like opening new locations, or creating more product, making it more accessible for everybody. So do you think in that sense that it's gonna be kind of like a household name, like Beats by Dre, for instance? Like I think it would be hard to argue that isn't the most popular like headphone brand,
That's true.
So do you think it's going to be a household name like Beats by Dre and it's going to be readily available, or do you think it's still going to remain kind of scarce?
Okay, if we're going to talk like exclusivity then.
Yeah. What's going to be the perceived value of a Supreme product?
Oh, it's going to be way lower, I think.
Yeah.
Because if I have, how many stores do they have currently? I don't know. Maybe
4 in Japan.
4,
11, 12.
Yeah, maybe like a total of like 9 or 10 stores.
I think, yeah, okay.
Total.
Anyways,
say they have 10 stores,
that's
right?
beside the point, yeah.
Say they turn it into 15 or 20 stores, which is a potential because they've opened 3 or 4 stores within the past 3 years. So it's not impossible for them to have, 10 plus in the future, right? And think about all the metropolitan cities and all the major streetwear scenes in them and how they can fit in. Like, obviously, they could be in, like, a Boston, another one in L.A. potentially.
Yeah.
Melrose is huge now in L.A. That could be a potential. But you're going to, unless they decide to make it exclusive for certain items curated for certain stores, then if I have this, let's say this box logo hoodie, right? And I can get it if I can't get it in the one in LA, then I can get it in the one on Melrose or Fairfax, whatever. There's multiple options. I feel like it's not worth that much anymore. And if more people have access to it, like we say all the time, in the sort of like our code of ethics is, if it's that easily accessible, it's probably not as cool to us anymore.
No, yeah, I think the exclusivity part is what a lot of people buy into. I think the way of thinking for a lot of people, either consciously or maybe even subconsciously, is that I have this and you don't, so that makes me better than you.
Yeah.
So I think that's just kind of the shift in the kind of culture of streetwear. It's become more competitive in a sense that it's about exclusivity and having something that another person doesn't have. So I think in that sense, like James Jebbia said, he wants to open more locations and he wants to make it more accessible to everybody. Yeah. So do you think that's going to help, or do you think that's going to hurt?
The only thing that I feel like is like the market's already oversaturated with like Supreme shit in general. Yeah. Not in the sense of the access immediately when it releases, but in terms of the aftermarket. Yeah. So something that you couldn't get maybe like a year ago. Mm-hmm. If you do enough research, you could potentially find. Like it's that easy. Yeah. But everybody's very like, I need that. Yeah. Like if it's a month past or 2 months past. I don't know why I'm saying that.
2 months past.
But if it's 2 months past, you probably won't give a shit anymore. No, yeah. And that goes for a lot of things, and I'm guilty of that too. Like, I'll be like, looking ahead at lookbooks ahead of time and be like, oh, and when that comes out in a month, I need that.
Yeah.
If I miss out on it, I'm not gonna pay,
like,
double or triple the price. Like, I'm just gonna do it. It really comes down to how many people have access to this thing that I think is cool.
Yeah.
If they have too much access to it, I don't think it's cool anymore. The fact that I'm the only one with it, and we talk about guys flexing for other guys.
Yeah.
If I'm trying to flex on a guy that has the same thing on as me, it's not a flex anymore. We have something in common.
Yeah.
We're in relation with each other now. In a weird sense, it's like,
right.
Hey, we can bond over this.
Yeah.
But we don't want to bond. We want to be the alpha, and
Yeah.
that's just ingrained in our sort of macho mentality a lot of the times.
So do you think there's such thing as a resale bubble? Do you think that since there are more people trying to get over on other people reselling Supreme, things like that?
Definitely.
Do you think
that's going to happen.
That bubble is going to burst and eventually the value is it going to go down?
Yeah. Look at Jordans. Jordans is a perfect example of sort of how that market sort of hit the peak too fast.
Yeah.
And once they started to overproduce and create some of the same things over and over again, and it just became a thing of like, fuck, man, like you guys have a release like every week, and it's gonna be that same sort of communication is, damn, you guys release this every week, and then all people do is resell it.
Yeah.
And now there's no point of it even being there because it's only like $40 more.
Yeah.
So now I see a bunch of people wearing it, and now it's fucking whack, and now I don't care about it. Now I'm going to find this off-brand that does exclusive shit because I want to be exclusive. And, I think it's going to take that sort of rolling into being more easily accessible to kind of be like, fuck, it's over now.
Well, I think, just to piggyback off what you were saying, that since everybody is in it, a lot of people are in it to resell now, that there's a lot more stuff on the market, so therefore it's easily accessible in the secondary market, so therefore it kind of decreases the value, if you kind of follow what I'm saying.
It decreases the value in both monetary value as well as like the street value.
Yeah, exactly. So that's what I'm trying to get at.
We want one, but we can't have the other too, because if we're the reseller, we lose. If we're on the streets wearing it, we lose regardless. Yeah. So I think in the end, in terms of just like value in the street sense and the money sense, everybody loses. Yeah, everybody loses. So, yeah. And that's where it comes to the essence of streetwear. And what we talked about episode 1 is if you wear what you like and you're comfortable with what you like, and it's in the means, which it will now be because people are going to be selling it at dirt cheap prices, then if you're a true streetwear fanatic and you love Supreme because you love Supreme and fuck whoever else has anything else to say, you win in all counts. You know what I mean? Like that box logo sweater that was literally impossible to get 2 years ago, and you had to be quick as fuck to get it. You now have a chance, and you now can wear it and rejoice and hang out with other people wearing box logo hoodies and start a box logo clan and do all this weird shit. You know what I mean? But for a real streetwear head, I think you win at the end of the day.
In terms of?
You win in terms of monetary value because you can afford aftermarket pieces at a lower value now. Mm-hmm. You win on the streetwear value because now you have a piece of streetwear that you couldn't get before, or you've been idolizing for a long time. And hopefully you don't care what other people think or what other people are wearing or how you perceive other people's opinions on yourself, because then you win there too because you don't give a fuck.
So do you think the consumer wins and the business loses, or do you think it's a win-win for both?
I think the business wins. Like, the business is going to make money. Yeah. The business is going to keep putting out product. The business is going to be culturally relevant for a longer period of time.
But, I mean, eventually, if we're talking about it being more accessible to everybody, do you think that's going to decrease the demand and kind of hurt the business in that sense,
I think their business plan from the very beginning of underproducing for a demand that was too high. Yeah. Right? So you kind of cut back, you become more exclusive, the demand grows and grows and grows and grows and grows. Now you can almost play catch up. So now I can put out hella shit that demand is still there regardless, because there's some people that still don't get their shit, and you can just keep going now. You can keep going.
We need to draw like diagrams, like econ
We're
diagrams,
gonna
like
draw a
supply and
square
demand,
right here
P and Q,
of
price
a
and quantity.
fucking graph, and it's gonna go like this. You're gonna see hypebeast, like happy, like the happiness of hypebeast here, and the fucking growth of Supreme here. It's just gonna go straight up.
Yeah. But do you think that's gonna? I mean, what I'm trying to get at with asking all these questions is that, do you think it's ever gonna taper off? Do you think it's ever gonna reach that peak and decline?
I think
like,
the point that you made though about being timeless.
Yeah.
I don't think that's a concept that not a lot of companies and brands.
But I mean, at the same time, there are other brands that can do stuff like that.
Yeah.
That, you know, put out essentially like Supreme almost copies other brands.
They do.
Yeah.
That's
so why not
like,
get the alternative?
What do you mean in the sense of?
So if I'm getting this trucker jacket or denim jacket from Supreme, or if I can't get it, then why? And I'm gonna be paying a fuck ton if I do.
Yeah.
Why not just get an alternative like a Levi's trucker jacket or a denim jacket?
Because it's not cool.
But they're still both timeless.
But it's not cool. like it's weird to think, because Supreme has done that. They have released a black denim trucker jacket, the same exact one that you can buy in the actual Levi's flagship store, and it will just have this like a Supreme logo on it, maybe on the tag or something. But there's something about that says a lot of things. There's context to Supreme items. Yeah. It says, I have the money for it. Mm-hmm. It says, I got it and you didn't.
Yeah.
Basically to say that I'm faster on the computer, whatever.
Yeah.
And it also just says, like, I have a better taste than you do.
So do you think that's what's driving this whole
fiasco?
That
it's like this.
Sort
it's like this self-esteem that's ingrained, almost like woven into your clothing with Supreme. That you're just like, I got this item. Now my brain and ego just increases a little bit more.
Yeah. There's a really good quote that I read somewhere. It says, "There's nothing more fragile than a millennial's ego." And
I easily breakable.
Yeah, and I think that is so true.
I saw this. Oh my god! I'm gonna. There's this good tweet. I'll put it here or something.
Link it somewhere here.
Link it here. But basically, the tweets. It was this dude. He was wearing like a white button-up, right? No shirt underneath, like Young Thug style. It was kind of draping off, and he had like this weird side bag. It was a fucked up outfit. But the caption was basically like, man, you need to go to a family party and have one of your uncles ridicule you for you to realize that shit is not cool. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it brings you back to earth when you're just like, man, I think this is cool. I'm an individual. But in reality, it's like, you're not. And it's not cool.
Yeah.
But obviously, like we always say, like, if you like it, you like it. And if you can afford it, you can afford it. But to a certain extent, there's still hate out here in terms of streetwear.
I mean, that's crazy to think of, though, that this whole thing is driven by a sort of game of who's got
the biggest ego.
Yeah. I was gonna say something else.
But that's just how we're ingrained in terms of streetwear, and just kind of just talking about guys, not to disinclude women or females or anything.
Yeah.
But just to include guys, is we do this because it's like it's a macho thing.
We just want to be better than everybody
else. That's how guys are in general. You know what I mean? I don't want to feel inferior to another person. Just that's people in general, and for a lot of the cases, it's other guys. It's just like
shout out to fragile masculinity.
Fragile masculinity, fragile streetwear in general.
Fragile. I think we should change the quote to "There's nothing more fragile than the millennial male ego."
We're gonna call this episode "Fragile Ablo."
All right, I think that's it. That's cut it here. That was
no, but seriously, like we have to be macho. We have to be in the best clothing.
Yeah.
But not everybody's like that. Obviously, not everybody is the type to need that self-esteem boost by their clothing, which is why there's people that shop at American Eagle and Old Navy, because they don't care. They still probably get girls based off of the weirdest shit that they wear. There are a lot of people that still do that, and
that's true.
And it all comes down to, like we always say, like personality and just the way you keep, like, the way you hold yourself up. Yeah, you know what I mean, like. And that's a good question in itself is, have you ever used like, or thought that having a certain like article of clothing or a piece of streetwear was going to get you more girls?
Well, I have a girlfriend and I'm loyal, so no.
Well, I mean, in the past, like, you know, like maybe if you thought like, oh, I think this outfit is gonna really get the ladies going. You know what I mean? Like, you never thought that when you
because I talked like that when I was like 13.
I don't think anybody really does, to be honest.
No, I think there's definitely been like, no, I think everybody does it.
Yeah.
You know?
Even girls to a certain extent.
Yeah, even girls do it.
A lot of them, sometimes they say like, oh, I'm wearing it for me, I'm not wearing it for guys. But
yeah,
there's a little bit of everybody that kind of incorporates that into their outfit of just like, oh, like, I seem interesting.
Yeah.
Even in that sense,
it's not even like more so I want to impress women. It's just I want to impress other people. Therefore, I'm going to look good.
Yeah.
I mean, not look good. I'm going to feel good about myself. Sorry, that's what I meant to say.
Of course. And that just plays into the whole thing of just why we wear clothing, why streetwear is a thing in general.
Why fashion even exists.
Why fashion exists, you know? Like, even when it comes to, like, fashion designers, why do you think they always try to push the envelope in terms of what they make? It's because I'm going to be better than that designer, you know what I mean? And everybody's always in competition with each other, and that's a huge thing, too. Yeah. It's a combination of competition, self-esteem, and just like
wanting to be an individual, I think.
Yeah, those three alone is just like it plays into a huge part of how we are, the way we are when we wear the clothes that we wear.
Yeah.
And I think that's a good sort of nugget right there. So if you're listening, make sure to write that down. When you're senior quote, write that down.
I don't even remember what you just said, but
yeah, whatever that was. You can rewind it. There's like
the last 2 minutes were. Just write that down.
Yeah. This is the other thing. Is then how do we evaluate other streetwear brands? Because there's a lot of other brands that are on sort of like the same tier and sort of in terms of influence right now.
Yeah. There's
a lot of big brands doing great things, but is any of them are any of them worth $1 billion at this point? Or are they even like do they check all the boxes in terms of the product is timeless or they're constantly innovating? You have to have one of those two things in order to keep surviving. Do they have a big societal and cultural influence? And do they have worth?
Can you
name any that are currently kind of doing that right now?
I was just going to say, I can't really name off the top of my head any other brand that I could value at $1 billion. Honestly, I don't think Supreme should be valued that much. I don't know. $1 billion for essentially a company that makes t-shirts is a little crazy to me. So it's even for a brand as influential as Supreme, I don't think there's any other brand that comes as a close second.
Now, if they were valued like at $1 billion based off just societal impact alone, I don't think there's really anything right now in terms of product. Of course, we can kind of name some. I think that obviously actually, I don't think I can. I don't think I can. Maybe in terms of like street value, there's a lot that are out right now.
Yeah.
Do you think like a Raf Simons is worth $1 billion or currently at around $1 billion?
No, I don't even.
You don't think so?
I don't think Raf Simons is worth $1 billion like that. No.
Wow.
I don't like. I do like Raf Simons and I do enjoy like that label, but $1 billion, like that's a lot.
Yeah,
for one brand.
But think about it like this: like you almost offset it with, I'm going to sell products at a ridiculously high price.
Yeah.
Don't you think like the profit margins go up, or it's like obviously when you evaluate a company, you put a bunch of different sort of factors into play.
Yeah.
But just off of profit alone, I couldn't see them being worth $1 billion.
No.
Even Supreme, I don't even think like the amount they make is even worth that.
How much is like a Louis Vuitton worth? I know they're part of like a conglomerate with like other brands, but like as a brand by itself, like how much would like a Louis Vuitton or Gucci be worth then to you?
Like if I were to evaluate them myself,
yeah,
they'd have to be up there with like at least $2-3 billion.
Really?
Yeah, I think so, because they obviously are fucking timeless. They've been around, like, they live in so many different cultures, like, obviously where fashion is like a thing, and obviously where fashion isn't a thing, because think of bootlegs. Like, if you're being bootlegged, you're doing something right, and you have a sort of cultural influence that other people want to emulate.
Yeah.
So on that note, it's that that alone is worth something. So that brings them up a little bit, and then you have their products and what they consistently make, and they match sort of every era, whether it's a trunk or, you know, now they're making like these side bag things, and, you know, belts are always a thing. So boom, bumps them up, and then now you have like their worth. Like, obviously they're expensive, and people deem them as expensive, and people want it because it's exclusive. So boom, it bumps them up again. So they kind of check every box.
Yeah.
There's not a lot like that. Even Gucci nowadays, like, Gucci checks every box with, in my opinion.
Yeah, but I mean, at the same time, they're offering luxury goods. Like, Supreme is offering T-shirts and
That's
hoodies.
so crazy. Like,
You
like
know?
$1 billion company, and you can buy skateboard wheels from them.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, that's so fucking, like, it doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
Like, I think a lot of it is based around that cultural and societal impact.
Oh yeah, for sure. Because that impact is what's gonna turn into dollar signs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's no. I mean, I don't think many companies do that. Like, it's almost taken away from the product in a sense. Like, people care less about the product and care more about the company, because we all know, like, all right, say we never, and me and you, I haven't bought a Supreme item in a while.
Yeah,
say
me neither.
we don't buy a Supreme item for a year. And then say Supreme starts throwing events, like parties or something. You know goddamn well we're going to that party every time it comes around.
Yeah.
So it's like, it's a cool thing. It's an in thing. We don't even have to wear the items. We don't have to wear the product. We don't have to watch any of their videos. But if we're just around it, and, you know, we're being seen at the same places where those things take place, then that's all that really matters to us, and we're not even buying anything.
Yeah, it's more so about just the brand itself and what that means.
Yeah.
In terms of, like, culture as opposed to a product. So you're saying that essentially it kind of elevates itself to the point where it doesn't necessarily even need to be selling products. I mean, not in that sense, but you know what I'm saying.
I think that if Supreme dropped everything, like, they just stopped selling products in general, and they just fucking maybe hosted skate contests or, like, independent films or whatever, they probably still, if they just had their storefront and just had a skate bowl in it and charged people, it'd still be worth money. Maybe not $1 billion. No,
definitely not. A lot lower, but
it'd be worth a lot more than a lot of other companies, just based off. And I hate this word, but it's a very relevant word. The word clout it's off the charts.
Yeah.
It's off the charts.
Yeah.
Dude, what else is sort of going on in streetwear right now that you kind of noticed? Because one of the things that I thought was a good thing that we should touch on is, because we've kind of talked about it with Supreme, they have a very huge influence in terms of hip hop. But how do you feel about seeing, like, hip hop artists that obviously some have a deep root in streetwear, some don't, and some pick it up because they obviously can afford it and afford all of it.
Yeah.
But they know nothing about it.
How do I feel about that?
How do you feel about that? Because think of a person like, obviously, like a Pharrell.
Yeah.
Wale is huge in streetwear. I mean, I remember watching old interviews of, like, Travis Scott and, like, him wearing, like, Bape and stuff like that, like, back in the day. But, like, there's a lot of people that just pick it up, and it's just, like, it's just now part of their, you know, their attire now. How do you feel about?
Well, I mean, like we always say, teach their own.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I think that sort of empty interest in a brand doesn't last it doesn't really last very long.
Because it's the next wave, on to the next wave.
Yeah, exactly. It's just on to the next one.
It's a bit annoying.
If Supreme isn't still the thing, I'm going to move on to whatever it is.
What do you think it's going to be?
I don't know.
You don't know what the next big trend is?
I'm not going to say.
You could almost predict the future, and you can go back to this video and be like, I said that.
I don't know. I think as far as like trends, we're gonna see a lot more like menswear and streetwear. I think it's gonna kind of go back to not more formal, but you're gonna see a lot more like traditional pieces in streetwear, kind of mixed with streetwear. So,
Yeah, I think people are gonna start learning about the word timeless.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, it's starting to taper off in terms of like, I'm gonna wear these crazy graphics, these graphics that only last a month or whatever. They say some sort of like message on it that's only relevant for that, you know, piece of history or whatever that's taking place. But after that, it's just like, all right, back to the plain colored t-shirt, or back to the stripes, or back to that cool pattern that is lived the test of time or whatever.
Yeah.
And I think that, I mean, that's sort of what we're going at right now, I think.
Yeah.
I think the sort of like peacocking and like the flamboyantness of streetwear, it's going to settle down a little bit, and it's going to be more so about a competition of how can you put the most like basic pieces together and layer them and make them look nice, or make them look authentic.
It's going to be less about these huge like displays of, hey, like you said, peacocking. Like, and it's going to be more about, I think, focusing on details and how to make them kind of shine, how to make them pop.
Streetwear is out to expose all you frauds that are just looking on Instagram, going to La Flame Fits on Instagram, just looking at what Travis Scott is wearing. Kanye Daily. And just wearing whatever the fuck you think looks cool on your favorite superstar. But streetwear is here to expose you, and so will we. That'd be dope if we had a fucking YouTube channel where we just flame people on Instagram.
Like
we just put them up here, and we just like, what's wrong with this outfit?
Be like, whoa. Or we could do that thing where I think is it Complex, where they go to like the people lining up outside of Supreme.
Oh yeah,
they're like the collabs, and they're like,
they
hey,
ask them like,
do you know who
questions
this is?
about the thing, and it exposes them.
And they're like, I don't know, I just like Supreme. I fuck with Supreme heavy. It's tight.
That's usually the typical response too. Yeah, man, I think that's a good. We talked a lot about Supreme. I don't know why we always end up talking about a lot about Supreme, but
it's like the most.
It plays a big part into current streetwear.
I honestly, I don't even like Supreme that much, but I think it's hard to avoid it since it is essentially like what mainstream streetwear is now.
And we can talk about, like, there's nothing wrong with discussing probably like one of the biggest sort of pieces of news in streetwear in a while, because not a lot of companies are being evaluated by these investment firms.
And I think Supreme is just a company that a lot of people now can easily identify and relate to in terms of like talking about it.
Hell yeah.
If I talked about it like a smaller brand, everybody'd be like, what the fuck is that? What are you talking about? So I think
everybody can sort of relate to it.
Yeah.
And man, we'll try next episode not to talk about them. Hopefully they don't do some crazy shit, but like fly to Mars, or have like open up their own space station or some shit.
Elon Musk doesn't like partner up with them and
dude,
like
that'd be
box
insane.
logo branded Hyperloop trains.
Dude, that'd be insane. First sponsorship.
We'll try to give you a more informative. I mean, this was kind of informative, but I guess we'll try to.
It's important.
Kind of steer away from talking about like Supreme and all that. Maybe we'll give you like a little background piece, a little history piece next time, something like that.
Streetwear isn't just Supreme for those of you watching.
For you 14-year-old kids out there.
And maybe to you 14-year-olds, Supreme is the biggest thing in the world to you.
Yeah.
But for the most part, we'll do our best to sort of provide a little bit more. But we definitely wanted to talk about that because that's a huge thing going on right now.
Yeah, for sure.
Even though neither of us really care too much about Supreme itself.
Not at all.
Like, I kind of forced this because I wanted to talk about it. Because I'm a semi-fan, but at the end of the day, I don't really buy shit anyway. But
because we're broke.
Yeah.
But anyway, that's
a great way to end this episode because the fact that we're broke, and I'm just kidding. But definitely, and we appreciate everybody that's been watching. I mean, 30, 40 views means that there's about...
I'll take it.
30, 40 people watching it,
that
even
means,
if it's for a minute.
That's like 15 each. 15 views each.
Yeah.
No, I'm talking about like me and you like clicking on our link.
Oh,
like
God damn it.
times.
No.
And then like 10 other people out there that
I
watch
definitely had to rewatch it because I was like editing the video, so I may have spammed us a little bit. But definitely, if you like what you're hearing and you want to hear more about it, definitely not Supreme, just streetwear in general. like us, subscribe us, give us a thumbs up, give us something.
Give us a thumbs down even.
Yeah,
hey,
thumbs down. It's all about engagement, you know what I mean?
Let us know what we're doing and whether or not it's good or bad.
Yeah, and
we're welcome to all feedback.
We appreciate it all. So other than that, that's this week's episode of No Chance Podcast. I believe that's 8.
Yeah,
right?
8, yep.
Yeah, we should have a counter actually to kind of tell us, because we need to be reminded all the time. We do this way too much. But we're going to keep doing it for you guys because we love streetwear and we love where it's going right now. And it's going to be something that we talk about on a daily basis, weekly basis, whatever. We're going to try to put as much content as possible at this point because it's fun. It's fucking fun.
Yeah.
So, yeah, thanks for listening. No Chance Podcast, episode 8, out.
Later.
Peace.